Old People is the newest Netflix original film from Germany. Mm-hmm. And this is about old people coming to get you because you don't love them no more.
Yeah, and then they're coming for you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, as far as the premise goes, I mean, that ain't far off. It's basically old people revolt. It's never really explicitly said what's causing this, but old people are just not gonna take it.
No, they ain't gonna take it.
No, they're not. And they start coming for us young people.
Yep.
I mean, I'm young-ish.
Yeah, you're young. Yeah.
I don't think so. And there's also no like cutoff date.
There isn't.
So we don't really know what old is in this movie.
I feel like it's like grandmothers and grandfathers.
Yeah, but I've known people who are like grandmothers in their 30s.
That's wild. That's crazy.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know what the cutoff date is. But okay, as far as this film goes, I think this is a really good movie. I really enjoyed it a lot. There's only like gripes. My only gripes would be like, of course, I mean this is a typical gripe, but I really feel like this would have elevated the film for sure. Would have been on-screen kills.
Yes.
That were like graphic.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say there's none because there is some, and some are pretty violent. Nothing's overly gory or anything, but there are some graphic moments, and they do show some things. They show like an aftermath thing from a distance. It's a little blurry, and it's kind of like, okay, I wish you could have got a little closer to that because it looks like the makeup artist actually did something there. I would have liked to have seen it. Somebody else gets hit in the head. You kind of see that stuff like that. It's not overly graphic, but there's some, right? And I just feel like it would have elevated this film for sure.
Yeah.
For me, some people don't like that, and so this is the right amount, or this might actually be too brutal. For some, which is crazy, but to us. And then also, I feel like some of the material, especially towards the end, is a tad clunky and a little heavy-handed, especially on some exposition points where they have to draw back to certain moments to like fill the audience in, as opposed to just like having respect for the audience and letting them kind of figure things out.
Yeah.
But other than that, what'd you think?
I liked it all right. I wasn't like in love with it or anything. I think that it has some really good atmosphere. There's a few of the like action sequences that I really like the camera work and like the effects that are used to make it feel like just something insane happened. So I was into that. And I think that like the old people themselves were ominous. But I did actually feel like I felt a bit like it was, what is that word? Like old exploitation kind of a thing. Like it was only scary if you're afraid of old people, because I didn't feel like the backstory. I didn't feel like we got enough of a reason for why things were happening the way that they were. I know that there is a bit of one, but I just felt like it wasn't enough motivation for me. I would have liked to go more into that. So I don't know. I just kind of felt meh about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely disagree. I think that this is very ominous. I think the old people that are in it are extremely creepy and effective, and I need no reason of any sort for why people have lost their minds and started killing people. This is true of any subgenre of horror that I've ever watched. So, for an entire town to just lose their mind overnight and just start killing people, I don't think you have to be afraid of people in general to appreciate a bunch of people just randomly killing people overnight, right? And the same is true here of just the old people. Because the way that they're shot, the way that they're presented, they are very creepy, and they actually do appear to be menacing, and somebody who could physically do something because they're, stark raving mad, and because this is like a vendetta for them. And when someone becomes possessed with revenge or whatever it is, you don't want to doubt them, because you never know what a freaking crazy person's gonna do. We see old people as these frail members of society that can't do anything to protect themselves, right? And that's kind of what the movie illustrates in the beginning. Is it says something along the lines of like the most frail. And I would beg to differ. I think babies are, but if you're like really really old, you're bedridden, you can't even move anymore, then sure. But a few of the old people in this are strong and able-bodied enough, and they would be a formidable foe for sure. So I think the main villain here, which is they focus on one specific guy, I think that he's good, and I think he's effective, and I think that he sells it well, that he could really stir shit up. And then they have some really great shots of old people like in fields or coming over this.
Yeah, I liked all of those shots.
Pretty much, honestly, like every shot of the old people in this worked for me. Like I really liked all that stuff, and I found it to set the atmosphere and keep it the whole time. Like the thing that this film really did well for me, and this is something a lot of other films fail on, the old people always felt like a threat, and I always had them on my mind, and there was always a reminder that they were there. And even if they weren't there, I always felt like they were just around the corner. And this is something that I feel like I've watched tons of movies in the past where you forget who the antagonists even are after like 30 minutes, and you go away from them for too long or whatever. Like this movie is great at always keeping you knowing exactly what to fear, and that they could be lingering around any corner at any time. And like the ravenous behavior of them when they're in a collective and they just start attacking, I find it to be, it's very zombie-like, right? Like this is a zombie film, for lack of a better term.
That stuff is all fine. I like the quantity of the old people and everything, but I think the reason I wasn't as into it was because it's kind of this morality tale, like about, not abandoning your elders. And I felt like the main family that we were following, there was a lot of stuff going on with like family dynamics and broken families. And I get that there was a reference to them not being involved in like the grandfather's life. So that's like a connection, but I didn't feel that they were like so horrible that they like never came to see him. Like there was life circumstances that prevented them, and like disagreements that prevented them from going to see their grandfather, or the adults, obviously their parent. So just the fact that everything kind of starts centering around them, and then all this violence ensues, I don't know, for some reason I was like, I wanted there to be, if it was a story about revenge, I wanted to see that, like, the build up to that. Like, I wanted more of the neglect and more of the, like, disregard. And there's a couple scenes with, like, an orderly where he's being awful to them. And I wanted more of that to really see, like, how abandoned and left, dehumanized that they felt. And that was, I think, for me at least, missing. I wanted more of it. I wanted to see that. But the quantity and everything, and like I was saying, the atmosphere, I think they did a good job at setting up the atmosphere. But I don't know, it just didn't land as well with me for some reason.
To me, though, it's not a targeted attack. Like, this is just it's like a group. It's almost a cult behavior, right? And I think that what you're saying almost makes it seem like you're not taking into consideration the ending of the movie.
I actually disagree,
which is kind of the point.
Yeah, I know that it's
right?
supposed to be worldwide, but the fact that it's a single family going to the wedding of another family member, the main people that we follow are all related in some way.
Yeah.
Even the girlfriend who's dating, you know. So, like, we only see what's going on with that family. And then, obviously, we get the exposition that it's happening worldwide. And, you know, she gets some... whatever. But I think that we should have seen that kind of happening with other families or in other parts of the movie to strangers. And we only really get strangers, at least for the viewer, a little bit when they're in the retirement community.
I mean, that's either an artistic choice to make it a little bit more intimate of a setting to really land that finale and the connection and the message and the lesson learned, which is the entire point of the ending of the film, and you know what the person is saying over the finale, all that stuff. I mean, that to me is the point. But and then, as I said, it could be artistic or it could be budgetary restrictions where they couldn't get away from the action too much to go to other parts of the world because that would cost too much. I don't need it because in here I feel like we do it well enough that I know what's going on all over. That I'm like, oh, okay, like this is happening other places other than this, but I like that we're sticking to a main central storyline, and I like that we're focusing on this family, and then I like that everything isn't so black and white. I like that there's, you know, gray areas where it's like, you know, this family isn't 100% there. They feel like a normal family. You know, it doesn't feel so over the top or dramatic for dramatic's sake to kind of punch something home like, oh, this person was so horrible to this person. It's just like, you know, neglect, but like really kind of like unbeknownst to you. Like that's, for me, it's kind of the point. It's like we just forget about them. It's not that we're like mean. It's not that we're like trying to be. It's not that we're like we hate them. It's just we're living our own lives and we got our own things to do, and we probably should be taking better care of them, but we let our other shit get in our way. We let divorce and our time with the kids and all the inner work, you know, all these things, they just interfere with, you know, you taking care of all of what you should be taking care of, and some things get sidelined, and a lot of the times it's your elders, it's your parents, and you're not even meaning to do it. So I like that this family isn't egregiously, you know, this way or that way. Like, it's kind of like they're just a normal family, and these old people are just tired of always being the first thing that kind of gets, you know, ticked off the box when it comes to like, well, what don't I have to do? Right? Like, what are my priorities? And they just start moving down the line more and more. Right? So I don't know. I thought the film was very effective. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. But I would have liked more kills, and I would have liked the message to just land a little better in the end. There was just a couple little things, but I was a fan. And, you know, it's okay that you weren't as big of a fan.
I don't feel like it was as effective, and I only recommend it just so you can make your own opinion.
Sure.
So.
All right. Let us know.
Bye.
Bye.